Welcome to episode 8 of the Current Backloggers. The date is April 2nd. I'm your host, KCP, and it's just me again. Cody G said that he could come, but as he talked about on the show before, he just bought his first house and he has some stuff he has to get done around the house. So he did offer to come on, but I told him one more week couldn't hurt and hope I could get better. And if not, then it would still be enjoyable because you guys get to see a train wreck. And also, there's Ryan still might fill in at some point, and our friend Derek is interested as well. So we'll have some backups for when Cody can't do it, but he should be here next week. So just want to get that out of the way first. Then what I've been up to, as normal, the past 3 episodes. Not much because there's not much we're allowed to be up to. So normal 40-hour work week. Well, not normal. Just keeps getting more and more strict. You gotta stand 6 feet away. Our shifts are cut in half, so half the people are there one shift, half the other, and we used to all work together. And now you have to wear this terrible mask that makes you feel like you're in super high altitude and hard to breathe in. So just no fun, but still got a job. So that's good because it could be worse. And as I talked about last episode, I would love to have the time off, but there's always a chance you don't get your job back. And I do have a really good job, and I'm thankful for that. So, like I said, for me, I don't think it'd be as big of an issue. And like I said, I feel like I fall into the category of not being too old, being a hard worker, and being well liked. So there is a chance it still could happen. And if it does, I feel good about it, even though there always is that chance. So that's why I'd rather have a job. But if it happens, then it does, and more time for video games. And yeah, I just feel like, I don't know if I didn't explain it well enough last episode, so I wanted to make sure I talked about a certain part of that when I was talking about how they could get rid of bad workers. I feel like I should clarify that because I feel like a lot of times people think bad workers are people who make mistakes or people who don't do the perfect job, but that's not my view on it. My view is for a bad worker is somebody that literally doesn't try and improve, or somebody that consistently calls off or always has issues, because nobody's perfect. And I feel like hard work and showing that you're trying to have improvement should be more important than that. And that's why I say I don't think it's arrogant for me to say I'm a hard worker or a good worker, because I know I try and put in that hard work. So I just want to clarify that. And that brings us to our corrections, questions, and feedbacks, or feedback. See, there's already some feedback right there. The only, no questions, but you guys can change that if you ever want to tweet at us, ask something on Facebook, Instagram, or email us at currentbackloggers@gmail.com, or a social, I did this backwards, but social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at current backlog. Feel free to ask us any questions, give us feedback. Constructive feedback would be best, but the only feedback I got was from Cody G, and he said the video still looked dark, which has been a problem for us consistently. So I'm hoping I fixed that this episode. So give me feedback if it looks still looks too dark, if it looks too bright, if it looks good, however it looks. And then that brings us to the news. There was a decent amount of news this week, and as normal, we don't cover everything in the news because there's plenty of podcasts and websites that can do 100 times better than us. So we usually kind of pick and choose what sounds most interesting or what catches our eye. And for me, the first one to come out was Nintendo. It's still not confirmed, but it's all but confirmed. There's tons of reports out that they're going to remaster a bunch of Mario games for the 35th anniversary of Mario this year. And the rumors are Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. And I hope it's true because Mario 64 has been remade a couple times, so that one not as much, but it still would be cool seeing it in HD and on the Switch. But Sunshine, because that is one of the most underrated Mario games. I know now it's kind of circled back around and now it's cool to like Sunshine, but there was a good period of time where it was trashed on, and I loved it as a kid. But for one, it's harder to find now. You can find it, but you're not getting it cheap. And if you do, you're going to realize real fast that the controls are real wonky and janky and do not hold up. The graphics are okay, but more the controls. So bringing up to current gen or Nintendo's current gen, I feel like would be fantastic. And then Galaxy is one of the best Mario, actually one of the best games I've ever played. Galaxy 2 I didn't like as much, but still fantastic, but I'm not sure if they're planning on doing both. But that's some exciting stuff. The one downside of it is, it was also reported that they were going to do a physical event for it at E3, and Nintendo hasn't done a physical event at E3 in years, so that makes E3 in this news a little bit depressing. And then I know Cody talked a couple episodes ago talking about how he thought OXM was still around, and it was when he said that, but as of about a week ago, they ended OXM, and it started in November of 2001 to be able to coincide with the release of the original Xbox. And it's sad. I definitely get why they did, because I say it's sad, but I can't remember the last time I bought an OXM. But anytime I do have a magazine, I still love looking at all the pictures and reading the articles. But like I said, I myself love it and still don't really buy it unless I have my Game Informer that comes every month. So I definitely understand why they did it, even though it's depressing. And then this one I don't care as much, but I know a lot of people will. I know Cody probably would. The Modern Warfare 2 remaster, just a campaign, randomly just came out digitally to buy. It leaked like the night before, but kind of came out of nowhere, and it's available now. And should have done this a little bit backwards. Bethesda announced that they won't. Well, I was gonna say won't be at E3, but E3 is not a thing. It's just kind of hard to talk about because I still feel like there's gonna be some kind of, they can't call it E3, I'd imagine, but an event at that time period where all your companies are gonna line up to do stuff together. But Bethesda said they will not be one of them, and they will not have a presentation this year at E3, even a digital thing. So that's depressing because they've had some big games and people wondering what they're doing. So it's been cool to see that. And they usually have some real cringy shit at theirs. So that's extra depressing. I know people love to hate Todd Howard, especially most people that will be watching this. Our friends can't stand him, but I always like him, or always liked him, and I feel like he's always been somebody that can relate to people like us, the nerdy people, but also is well spoken and knows how to get his point across, which if you watch E3, a lot of developers and talkers do not. And I can't judge because, like I said from the beginning of the podcast, like beginning of starting it, up until pretty much every episode, that's something I need to work on myself, so I'm not judging it. I am, but I feel like it's fair judgment because I judge myself with it. And then the only other bit of news, but big one, I expected, I think I said a couple episodes ago, but I know a lot of people thought it wouldn't happen. Sony announced today that they are indefinitely delaying The Last of Us 2, which was set to release on May 29th. And like I said, I'm not surprised at all, unfortunately, because I can't wait to play it. But I just didn't see it happening, especially being all about an infection. I feel like, even though I don't agree, I understand why they did it, and I'm not surprised at all. They also released or announced at that time that they're delaying the Iron Man VR game, which was set to come out May 15th. And I'm actually really curious or optimistically excited about that. But that's delayed indefinitely now too, so I don't know when we get these games. And it's a bummer, but I know Naughty Dog or Neil Druckmann from Naughty Dog tweeted out about it, and pretty much said he completely disagreed with it, but put it in professional terms. So I feel like this is all on Sony, and they would not have done it. So I'm curious if there's going to be any additional development done to it, or I'm sure they're all working at home if there's anything they can do, or if the game's just literally going to sit there until it ends up coming out, which I feel like, I know there's probably not much they can do since they all are separated, but I feel like Sony should do everything they can to help them from home to be able to put more resources into this game and take advantage of letting them not release their game when they wanted to. It's also definitely possible that Naughty Dog was scared of Ninja Law because that releases on the same date. So, I mean, you decide, but I think it's a more likely scenario. And then for my gaming pickups this week, um, when I first started this podcast, I said that category would probably be empty for me most time because, for one, I need to save money. Two, like this podcast suggests, it's about trying to keep up with your backlog while also staying current. But the current more was the news and how we look at games. But I don't know. Most of the things I've gotten have been deals or stuff that I've really wanted, and Dreams kind of falls into that category. For one, there's not much to spend money on right now, so I've saved a lot of money. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have bought this game when I did. But um, at my work, we had hour breaks, and now they're down to 30 minutes, so there's not really any time to go get food. And I bought food like every break, so that adds up a lot. So when you're not doing that, that's a good amount of money you're saving. It kind of isn't as much for me because I still try and get pizza as much as I can, especially from local places here, to try and help out because I know they're going to be fucked over with all this happening. And there's a place called Classic Pizza if you're ever in Columbus, Ohio. That's what you need to get. It's fantastic. And that's why I've been getting almost every night because it's so good and I want to support it. But still, overall, I'm saving way more money than I would have. And Dreams is a game that I've always been curious about and I wanted to try. And I love Media Molecule. They're one of my favorite developers. They made Little Big Planet, one of my favorite series of all time. And I wanted to, so part of it's wanting to support them. And I also got it on sale on Amazon for $28. So kind of just all the right conditions. So I'm not sure if I'll play right away or if it'll be a while. I just thought with all those things lined up, I should do it. With all this madness happening, it doesn't come out, or it doesn't expect to get here till April 1st to the 15th, which is quite the range, especially because I ordered 4 days ago now. But it works out because it's not something I need right away. And also, I think it's a good game because it's a game I could dedicate a ton of time to, but it's also a game where I could just play a couple creative levels or play the small campaign they have in there without dedicating a ton of time. Because I don't expect to be a creator in that game. I barely was in Little Big Planet, and so it's far more advanced. I just want to take advantage of everybody else that's doing it. So it looks like you can do some crazy shit. So, yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to, and when I play it, I'll keep you updated on here. And then for what I have been playing more Borderlands 2 with Ryan, trying to run through the campaign on there, and we're trying to do like everything we can. So that game's gonna come up a lot. And like I said, it's a game I've started so many times with different people, but never actually finished. I beat the first one, loved it. And I never got to play the pre-sequel, never finished 2, never played 3, so we're working on it. And then me and Danielle beat Snipperclits. Fantastic game if you haven't played it. It's one of the most creative, cute puzzle games I've ever seen. If you haven't played it, it's there's two little guys, and then you can cut out a shape of the other person, and then you can do that back and forth, and then you're using your bodies to create, like fill in a hole in the screen, and you gotta rotate your body, and they do a lot of creative things that I haven't seen in game, and really cute. So we finished that, and then you unlock um, some special worlds or special levels that we haven't played yet, but I'm excited. I was kind of expecting that, but what I wasn't expecting is they have some other modes that I didn't know about. So even though we finished it, I feel like we'll be playing again. I'm curious to see what else it has to offer. And then um, I played more Madden 20, that is. I usually, with this kind of stuff in Halo, I usually just say what the title is. I've been playing the most current one normally. Um, but like I said, me and a couple of my friends are doing Connected Franchise, so it's been fun doing that. And I'm 7-7 right now with the Broncos, and just hanging on for my playoff life. So I'll keep you guys updated every week. I'm just right in there, so it could go either way. Um, then, as always, been playing Halo Master Chief Collection. Like I said, they're kind of just a handful of games. You know, I'm trying to work on my backlog and do more games. There's a handful of games I kind of rotate through every couple weeks or so. Halo, Overwatch, NHL, Madden. There's kind of just games you'll see come up repeatedly, and that's the reason, because they're just kind of go-to and easy to play and fun to work through. And then I tried to play Predator, the trial, or Predator Hunting Ground, the trial version. But you're gonna say it's disappointing, but it's not the game itself, I don't think. I played the tutorial, which was really good. You play as Predator, and it's so much more polished and detailed than Friday the 13th. It's like a whole nother developer made it, which is, like I said, kind of what I expected, because Friday the 13th had a lot of fun in it, but was real rough around the edges, and you could tell it just didn't have much to work with. But even expecting that, it surprised me how detailed and nice it looked, and the tutorial was well done. The only downside of it was when you died, you had to restart the tutorial, so you had to do it all over instead of starting at the same spot, which was frustrating. And then you only have a tutorial for the Predator, not the humans, so I don't know if they just don't care about the humans, if they think it's easy, what it is. This also is just a trial beta, so possible these things are different when the game releases. But then when I went to find games, I couldn't find anybody, and I was sad. Then the next day, I was having connection issues, and I got into one game, and I played as humans. I didn't really know what I was doing, because there was no tutorial for that, and I feel like it wasn't completely straightforward. And then I was excited. I was like, ooh, this is fun. Let's keep going. And then I couldn't get into another game by the time the beta ended. But the reason I say I don't know, I would expect it to be the game, especially during beta, and especially with the issues they had with Friday the 13th. But then I went to play a couple other games on PSN, and they weren't working when I went online, so I don't know if PSN was having issues or what it was. So it's hard to tell if it was that game or PSN, which is unfortunate, because I would love to know if it was that game. So I want to support it, but I can't deal with that kind of stuff again, especially after what Friday the 13th has been. And then one of the games that I went to play that I couldn't get to work was actually a game that I skipped last week. I'm going to talk about was Fallout 76. I've been playing with James, and that game, I wanted to play it because I love Fallout, And one of the things I actually thought was I always wanted in Fallout was co-op. I know a lot of people didn't feel that way and mocked it when they announced it at E3, but I was like, this sounds awesome. This is why I always wanted Fallout. Was so much fun, but always felt empty and lonely, which worked for a while. But after 60 hours or so, it gets a little actually lonely. And then it came out. Everybody destroyed it, hated it. Um, I heard some valid criticisms from what I saw, but I haven't played it myself at that point. But I felt like a lot of it was not valid and just feeding off other people and dogpiling, which kind of goes back to what I talked about last week, where um, I feel like people kind of just form their opinions and feed off another, because that game, I don't know how everybody just decided at the same time to hate it. It's confusing. And then if you talk to most of the people, they didn't even play it or they just heard it sucked. And it's one thing if you find somebody that you like, a best friend or a viewer that you always watch, and you line up with their views. But I just don't understand the whole thing of everybody said it sucked, so it must suck. Because if you talk to all the people that said it sucked, they probably like a lot of things that you don't like, and vice versa. So that's why I don't get just always just going with the crowd. And if most people like it, then it has to be good. If most don't, then it doesn't. I get generally that could be a, if a lot of people are watching something, a lot of people are liking something that has a better chance of being good. But like I said, I'm sure there are plenty of things that you like that somebody else doesn't, and vice versa. And I'm gonna go now a little more when I'm talking about what I've been watching. But to stick to Fallout, um, like I said, I wanted to form my own opinion, and I put like 7 hours into it, so I can't give a full opinion, which might sound like a joke if you haven't played Fallout. But Fallout is a massive game, like I just talked about. The other ones, easy, you can play 60 hours, and it's nothing. So 7 hours is almost nothing. So everything could change how I'm feeling, and everything's a little broad right now. But in the 7 hours I played, what I can say is the first time I played, I had connection issues, and this is sounds like a common thing. So you probably assume our connection is terrible, but I actually have a really good connection, and even when I have most of the connection issues, my phone stays connected or something else is. So it's not the connection most of the time when these are happening. Like Fallout 76, me and James kept having a server issue on there where it just kicked one of us off and our phones would stay connected, so it wasn't on either of our ends. But that was only the first night we played. Luckily, we haven't had it since. So I hope that's not a consistent thing, because that's the kind of thing that I think is a valid criticism if you have played and you had those issues. And something that's kind of just unacceptable now. The game's been out for over a year. Maybe when it first launches, stuff like that's okay. Or not okay, but expected. But now that kind of stuff, that should be long gone. And then there's things I need to play more to figure out. But the world, it's actually a really cool world and a lot of color, which you don't get in a lot of Fallout games. So it's a nice change of pace. And but it feels kind of empty, and not in the way that Fallout does, where it's a massive world and so it's gonna be empty. But it feels empty because it's in West Virginia, which is a cool setting, and get like color and a lot of stuff you don't get in Fallout, like I said. But you also don't get the scale of seeing like um, the Washington Monument or the White House or any of this crazy stuff you found in Fallout after walking around nothingness. That's kind of what made the nothingness okay. Is eventually you found these things, or like the Freedom Trail in Fallout 4. There's these things that are like humongous and made it all happen, but I haven't really seen much like that. So that's a downside, and I feel like it's extra weird that it feels empty because now you have more people there, so it should feel less empty. But that's the next thing. I always wanted co-op. I feel like this is a weird mixture where people are dropping in and dropping out and can kind of do whatever. And like I said, I don't want to judge it fully because I haven't played enough, but I don't feel like that's what I imagined when I thought it. I felt like you started with a co-op partner, and you go through it together. Like me and James are playing, and we can finish missions at different times, and then he has to still finish a mission I finished, and it just doesn't feel like it's like our world together. It's kind of weird in that way. And then there's things that just I don't understand at all, like the button layout. I should have wrote it down before I got on here because I know I'm gonna mix it up. But it's like somebody's never designed a game before made the button layout, which is extra weird because they've designed multiple games that are identical to this. And Bethesda is one of the biggest developers and very talented. I know they're cool to hate on now, but I still love them. But the button layout just made no sense. So I'm playing on PS4. The X button was not jump, it was triangle. So that was already weird. But then X is to interact with things and pick things up. So that kind of makes sense because you don't want to jump everywhere, but still, then you think circle would be the next natural jump button, but it's triangle. And then circle is your Pip-Boy. And then the touchpad was something weird. Can't remember what it was, but all the controls just felt so backwards and felt like somebody's never designed a game before, which is something I, even expecting flaws and seeing what people may have been talking about, I don't know how that kind of thing happens. And I played it for like 4 hours that way, and I said that to James, expecting him to have not know what I was talking about because I thought it was just me. But then he completely agreed, and he looked and he can remap the buttons at least, and they're really good about it. He can remap everything. And after I did that, I felt so much more natural and good. But I just don't know why they did that as a design. And that's why I stuck with it for 4 hours, because I don't like to change buttons if the developers made it that way, because I felt like it must be for a reason. And that's why I stuck with it for that long. So this is different, but maybe I just need to get used to it. And the more I played it, the more unnatural it felt. And then that's how I knew something was up when I changed it, and it instantly felt natural. Yeah, there was something up there. Um, but in saying all that, I am having a lot of fun with it. So that's the kind of conflicting thing. I have issues and want to see more, and not exactly what I wanted, but at the end of the day, I'm still having a ton of fun with it. So I'm going to play it more, and I'll keep you updated on here. Then, besides that, I played more Call of Duty Warzone with a few friends from work, and that game's still a ton of fun. I'm not a big Call of Duty guy. Like, we played some of the straight up multiplayer, and it was fun to hang out with them, but I just, again, really didn't care for it. But Warzone just is so much more fun to me, and we got our first win, and it was amazing, and it was so much fun. But besides that, the only thing I've been playing more of and finished was Twin Breaker, a Sacred Symbols adventure. And I went into good detail about it last week without finishing it, so I don't want to say too much this time. I think I might actually do a separate review after I'm done recording this, and maybe put that up. So that way, if you don't want to listen to 5, 10, whatever minutes it takes to talk about it again, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can. And part of the reason I want to do that is because it's a smaller game, and I like calling a lot, and I don't feel like many people are going to do reviews. Not that I expect a ton of people to see ours, but I just thought it'd be cool and different to do. So I might do that after this. And then for what I've been playing, or what I've been watching, sorry, trying to scroll through here and make sure I don't miss things like I always do. What I've been watching is The Tiger King. I'm 3 episodes in, me and Danielle are, and it is quite the ride and very enjoyable. But this is where I'm going to get back into that topic of people's opinions on things. I feel like every single person is talking about this, and is #1 on Netflix, and nobody will shut up. And this movie is, or documentary, is right up my alley. It's right up pretty much my whole friends' alley, because we like the weirdest, dumbest shit. But usually with this weird, dumb shit, nobody else likes and doesn't give a chance. And that's how I feel there's a prime sign that it's opinion changing it and not how people see it, because I feel like if we showed them something similar that's not number one on Netflix, they would turn it off in a second. And I get that this gets crazy and interesting, but they wouldn't let it get to a point where it gets crazy and interesting. They would be done with it because it was so different and weird. And I talked last week about how that's frustrating, because even if you like something, and I feel like it's just shoved down your throat by the time you can even finish it. But what I don't think I mentioned is that I feel like the more frustrating part of that is that, like I said, that people don't give a chance to things that they would actually maybe really like if they truly do like this and not based off other people's opinions. There's so much other stuff that is crazy that they probably would like if it was really their opinion. And I feel like they missed so much because it's not the number one thing on Netflix. And I feel like a prime example of this is a fantastic movie called Super 8. If you haven't seen it, you should, especially if you're one of these people that is obsessed with Stranger Things now. And the same kind of thing, number one on Netflix, nobody would shut up about it. And there's so many people that made fun of me for liking Super 8 and said it was a terrible movie. They're, oh, you gotta watch Stranger Things, it's the best thing ever. And watch those things and tell me how different they are. And that's what's frustrating, is that I feel like so many people miss out on things that they would like if they truly do like Stranger Things. Then you probably a good chance you like Super 8. And it's just frustrating because I feel like people miss out on a lot of stuff they could enjoy, and I feel like that goes both ways. I feel like strong opinions about things like that can make you avoid things, and it sucks. But I don't know how to change. Not that I'm the one that does it, but I don't know how to change that, because I feel like that is just all how that works. Like Jericho, Invasion, all these amazing shows on TV had no chance because they were on TV and they weren't Netflix. If Stranger Things was on ABC, I feel like that would have been canceled within one season, and nobody would, or not many people would care about it. But then it has a Netflix tag on it, and people are, oh, you gotta watch this on Netflix. And it's just annoying because I feel like there's so many good things that can't stick around because of that. Even before, you could make the argument like that Tiger King is number one, so like I said, that a lot of people like it, so it's natural that people are going to watch that. But like I said, there's plenty of examples that before it was like a number one thing of it was Netflix, so it's cool. But if you talk about very similar shows on TV, and oh no, I didn't watch that. So it just sucks that I feel like people could watch a lot more and be a lot more open to things. And I'm not trying to be preachy because I've done it myself. That's why I tried to change that, and that's why I recognize it. So just be a little more open, and you'll probably find a lot more that you like, because Tiger King is very enjoyable. And then been watching more Walking Dead, and really liking it still. And I'm about to finish season 9. There's 16 episodes. I think I'm at 14, so almost done with that. And hope it keeps trending trending upwards, because I love The Walking Dead. Like I said last week, I don't think anything has come close to a pilot episode. I don't know if it will, but I hope I'm wrong. But even if it doesn't, I just hope for always quality. And then I caught up on my episodes of Lost, because it was funny. I feel we kind of jinxed it. Me and Cody talked the week of the first week we talked about how we watch Lost every week. The next week we did or had a podcast. We couldn't do that anymore. We all had to split up, so we've all been watching our episodes of Lost separately and not as a group until we're all able to get together again. So I watched that. Then me and Danielle watched Unlock the World of Games Revealed, that documentary I talked about. We watched the first 3 episodes. I think there's 9 and a bunch of bonus features. And it's really well done, and I'm really enjoying it. If you've seen Video Games, the movie, the one I talked about, believe it's on Netflix. I know it used to be. It's fantastic, and I feel like it does a good job of kind of pacing and running through the history of games. But I feel like this is kind of a deeper dive and goes over a lot more things, and you can tell it was really cared for, and somebody really likes games and knows it, which is not something to get often. So if you get the chance to watch it, you should. I know I bought it on Blu-ray, but like I said, you can watch all kind of digital ways. I don't think any of them are free like Netflix or anything, but I know you can buy them on Prime. There's plenty of ways to watch it. If you just go to their website, they have all different options, but it's definitely worth watching. And I'll finish it and keep it updated. And then the only other thing I watched this week was American Mayor, which is an interesting, cool documentary. It's about a guy that is from Bexley, Ohio, which is a city right outside Columbus, Ohio. And the mayor of 32 years said he wasn't going to run again. So all these people, like 8 different candidates, and most, like 6 of them were like no-name people, ran for mayor, and he was one of them. And it's only like 40-minute documentary. There's not much to it, but it's interesting, and it's worth a watch. It's on Prime Video, so if you have Prime, it's free to watch, and you should. It's interesting. So let's see what else we got here. Oh, that's right. I know I missed a game from last week as well. I was also playing Rocket League with Aaron and Trevor when I talked about those list of games we played. That was one of them, and that's actually one of those games that's in my rotation. I knew I was missing one. Rocket League, I always go back to. That game is so much fun. Um, some random things that I was going to talk about just kind of before we go back to the normal schedule we got. Because I didn't want to start with just nonstop Corona talk, because that's all we ever do now, because that's our lives. But I do want to talk about a few things. The first one is how frustrating it is that I feel like there's a narrative to this, and if you don't stick to it, you're an awful person, which is kind of how politics is now, or has been for a long time. That if you're different than somebody, you're not allowed to talk, or you're an idiot. And it's frustrating because I don't think I'm automatically right, and I could be dead wrong in this, and it'd be quite fitting because I love zombie movies and games and everything, and that's a trope in that, is that you always make fun of the people who are like, how do you not see this happening? It's so obvious. So maybe this is that scenario, and I'm like, man, this is not that bad, and what is this infection? And I'm just living it out, and it's going to be a massive thing, and I'm like, wow, I'm exactly what I hated. But like the governor here, Mike DeWine in Ohio, he does a press conference every day, and I feel like people hear him and then just repeat everything he says, and if you have anything that's different than that, you're an idiot, or you're not allowed to talk because he's spoken, which is ironic because I actually like him a lot, but a lot of people didn't before any of this happened. A lot of people hated on him, which on one hand, it's refreshing and nice to see people change their minds. I don't mind, and I actually like if they hate him but can see something good, but I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like once this is over and he's running for re-election, all the people who hate him are going to hate him again and say how he did nothing good, which is ridiculous. You don't have to vote for him just because he did this and you liked it, but you should be able to separate things. Be like, yeah, I'm not going to vote for him, and there's a lot I don't like. I think he handled that really well, but I just can't vote for him. But I don't feel like that's what's going to happen. Like I said, I feel like people are just hopping on the hot train, and if you're different than that, you're an idiot. And it's frustrating because I really like Mike DeWine, but I've said multiple times I don't like how he handled this, and I would have done it way differently. But still, that doesn't change how I feel about him. That's why I feel like people need to learn how to segment things, and I still like him, and I disagree with it actually, and I wouldn't have done it. I actually do respect him that for the most part he stayed consistent with it, and also something's refreshing and different and different, I should say, is that he's doing it and he's sticking with it, and I don't feel like it's solely for a political reason. I think he truly believes what he believes or what he's doing, which even though I don't agree with it, makes me appreciate it more and um, see more value in it because I feel like he truly believes in what he's doing. So even though I don't agree with it, I appreciate that, and I feel like it's a really good and solid sign that he has been so consistent and so strong with it and stuck to what he believes in and that he is going with it. So much so that, like I said, I literally disagree with him on that. But the fact that he is doing that and showing so much leadership and getting people to come together, I feel like that's somebody I can instantly, even though I disagree with, vote for president, which is unfortunate because it probably won't happen. He's already 73, and I believe be 75 or 76 by the time um, he's done being, or not done being, but could possibly be done being the governor of Ohio. So I just don't know if he'd be able to, or if he'd even want to after all this, to do anything like that. But I feel like that's a stark contrast into, or to, the president and how he's handled it. And I don't like him, but again, I point out how I feel like people just stick to their things and go with it. I feel like he's been all over the place and has not been consistent, and it's just frustrating. But to get to the point that I was trying to get at, in these press conferences, Mike DeWine always announces numbers and the amount of cases and deaths, and that's why everybody spews at you every second. And at a press conference 2 days ago, when the cases went up to 160, he also said in his own conference, so not propaganda or conspiracy theory, that the testing they have done is over 24,000, and these are supposed to be the people who are most likely to have it and the most dire. And of the over 24,000 people who have tested, of the most likely people who have it, only 160 cases have come up. So that means the less than 7% of the people that are supposed to be most likely to have it have had it or have it. And that's been the talk this whole time, is that the numbers have to be way higher than what we're seeing, and that's what people don't understand, which I don't think it's as bad as people said, but that made sense to me, that the numbers will be higher because you can't test these people. But now I even question that because, like I said, we tested over 24,000 of people who are most likely to have it, and 160 people have it. So if we test 50,000 more, or 300 people are going to have it, I don't see how it jumps to over 10,000. I get that it's spreading, but when is it going to spread to this amount? I just don't see it happening. And it's frustrating because I feel like you're not allowed to talk about those kind of things because it's not in line with what everybody thinks, which is, like I said, kind of how politics are now. And it sucks because it's offensive and wrong to talk about politics. You can't do that at work. You can't do it around family or friends. But I don't think it should be wrong or offensive to talk about politics. I think it should be wrong or offensive to shut people down and hate them for who they are. And I get that that's the worry with politics. That's why I say you shouldn't talk about it. But it would be nice if we could get to a point where we could talk about politics and be rational and disagree but still respect each other. Which, if you could see my voting history and how I think about things, I don't think I would line up with a single person because I've been all over the place, and a lot of candidates that I like aren't on either strong side. So majority of people disagree with me, but I feel like I can still show more respect and resistance and not just shut people down, even though majority of people I disagree with, just by default, by how I vote. That's not how most people do. But I feel like still the majority somehow is the ones that cause the issues and makes it so you can't talk, which sucks because politics are super interesting and you can learn a lot from it and could become closer, but it's been ruined by people acting like that, so that way you're not allowed to talk about it or you're wrong, which I feel like just feeds into this narrative. Um, I will say that another thing with this, I should have looked it up to give more definitive numbers, but another example of this is that like a week and a half ago, everybody's sharing this chart about Italy to show that we're obviously going to be way worse than that because on their day one, I can't remember the numbers, but I'll give an idea. It's like 28 cases and we were at 20 and we kept getting higher to where the scale showed we were going to be higher than them, which we are now. But at the time, you weren't allowed to talk about this, of course, but what people ignored is that we have like what 300 million more people than them, and and then they talked about the death rate there, and um, sorry, I was just checking something, but the death rate there and how it was much higher, so you got to look at that too. But what people ignore, like I said, the fact that we have like 300 million more people than Italy. So by default, yeah, every day we're going to be a little higher. So the fact that we've been in line with them shouldn't have been scary. That should have been impressive that we weren't just not destroying because it sounds like competition, but towering them because by default we should have way more because we have way more people. But on top of that, their population average is way older than us, and their health care system is way worse than ours. I know people like to hate on ours, and I have issues with it too, but it could be way worse, and it is there, and the average age is way higher. So again, naturally the amount of deaths are going to be higher too. And like I said, now we are higher than them, so people can say, "See, the chart was right," but it's still the narrative that you just point out what you see and you stick to it, and there can't be any facts there because you shared it and you feel that way, and it just gets really frustrating. The only other thing I'll say on the virus is that I was listening to an episode of Dave Rubin. He had a doctor on the March 19th episode, and even though I have a lot of different views about this, that was one of the more interesting and rational interviews I've heard from somebody I disagree with because he explained things well. Well, for the most part, he contradicted himself a couple of times and just didn't make sense a couple of times. Like he talked about how people need to stop going to the doctor because what everybody's saying is the flattening the curve and that we can't have everybody going to the hospital at once, so people need to stop going to the doctor in the hospital for small things so they can do this, which makes sense. But then he said one way you can do that is to go get your flu shot at the doctor after he just said don't go to the doctor, and he said get your flu shot so that way you don't get sick, which I get that maybe that means you'll be less likely to go to the doctor, but still to do that you gotta go to the doctor. But there was some things like that, but also after doing a podcast, I can see how you contradict yourself and forget what you said because I know I do that. So it's hard to judge him too much for it. But one of the really interesting things he said and explained super easy, and I feel like maybe this could be a more rational talk, and you could see I could see other points of view if more people talk like this instead of just spewing out the same lines that everybody does, and you gotta stick to it. Because the question everybody's been asking is, how is this worse than the flu or swine flu or any of these diseases that come and go? And he said the fact that it's not more deadly actually makes it more deadly, which sounds like he's contradicting himself, but that one he's not, and he explained it. He said that this virus is so lethal to people with compromised immune systems and old people, but it's not strong to the normal person, so they're able to carry it for long enough to give it to somebody else. And the other viruses were so strong for a normal person that it would kill him before it could get to anybody else. So the other viruses weren't as deadly, but they weren't as easy to spread. So, or were more deadly, so they weren't as easy to spread. So it was an interesting point, and hopefully I explained it well. But either way, you should listen to that episode. It was super interesting. It was a March 19th episode of Dave Rubin's podcast. And then another random thing I was going to talk about was the NFL offseason. Me and Cody talked about it a couple weeks ago, but there's been a lot that's happened and super interesting. And the Broncos are killing it. They got Melvin Gordon. They re-signed multiple of their top players. They let go of Chris Harris Jr., which was sad and unfortunate, but I understand it. The one that really hurts was getting rid of Derek Wolfe, because I don't get that one, and he's somebody that definitely would have stayed there. But for the most part, they have done amazingly well. And then there's just crazy off-season stuff you don't expect, like Cam Newton getting released. I don't know if he's going to end up with the Patriots, if they're going to get Andy Dalton. I don't know who the Patriots quarterback's going to be, but I hope they're terrible. And just a crazy NFL offseason that I hope means something by the time the season starts and we actually get something out of it. But to continue with the normal show, the free games this month for Xbox One is Project Cars 2 is available till April 30th. And then Shantae Half Genie Hero, I said it right, Cody, proud of me, is available till April 15th on Xbox 360. Fable Remastered till April 15th. Then PlayStation Plus, I think figured out how it works. I said last week how those free games didn't actually go away, which are Shadow of the Colossus and Sonic Forces, till April 6th. So I didn't know if there's overlap or how it worked. But I looked into new games, which are Uncharted 4 and Dirt Rally 2.0. Don't start until April 7th. So I feel like they just have a weird way of doing their calendar that it is every month, but it's not the start of the month, which makes it more confusing. But that means until April 6th, you can get those two games, and then starting April 7th, you can get the other two, because both those will be in this week by the time we start the next podcast. So just wanted to do a reminder on that, and I think that's all for this. I'm already I'm doubting myself on some of the things I said, and I could have said them better, so hopefully what I said made sense. And if anybody wants to go into more of that or better explain things, then let me know and we can talk about it next week's episode. But as always, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at currentbacklog, and you can email us at currentbackloggers@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and like, share, turn on notification, all that jazz. And we'll see you next week. Hopefully Cody's here, and I love you.